Welcome to Students Incorporated. I'm your host, Mr. Jason. Join me weekly as my students and I bring you content that's informative, positive, fun, and uplifting. This podcast is created and produced with the help of students from the International Community School of Bangkok. Is the career you'll have in 10 years something you're studying for in school right now? Or is it something you're building in your spare time, right from your laptop? For a new generation, that second option is becoming the new reality. Welcome to the show. Today we are discussing the reshaping of the future of work, the side hustle generation. We're talking about more than just a part-time job. We're exploring what it means to build a portfolio of skills, create your own personal brand, and future-proof your career in a world that's changing faster than ever. As someone whose own career has been shaped by various side hustles since the 1990s, I can tell you the landscape today is a world apart. The opportunities, the tools, and the very mindset are completely different. And to break it all down, I'm joined by co-hosts Josiah and Esther and our show's own producer, Highlight. They will help me unpack this fun and interesting topic. Together, we're going to explore why this is happening, how you can find your own footing in the creator and gig economies, and later in the show, we'll count down a source list of the top 10 most in-demand side hustles for 2025. You're going to leave this episode with a lot of new ideas. But first, let's hear our quote of the day and get some headline news.
The quote for today is from the celebrated American author Mark Twain. He said, "The secret to getting ahead is getting started." This is a powerful reminder that all the planning and dreaming in the world can't replace action. We can get so caught up in waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect idea that we end up never doing anything at all. Twain's point is that the most difficult and most important step is usually the very first one. And that connects perfectly to our topic of the side hustle generation. The idea of launching your own project can feel huge and intimidating, but this quote reminds us that you don't need a flawless business plan to begin. Progress comes from the simple act of starting, listing that first item online, filming that first video, or offering that first service. It's all about taking that first small step. And that's our quote of the day. Now on to some headline news.
Thanks, Josiah. That quote is a perfect setup for what's actually happening in the world right now. I've got 3 recent headlines that dig into the details of how side hustle landscape is evolving. Our first story is from the Forbes Tech Council, and it tracks a massive shift in freelance work. The headline is AI tools fueling a surge in student-led digital services. Now, this goes beyond just a simple app. The report details how students are leveraging sophisticated AI to offer services that were once the domain of professional agencies. Think about AI that can generate an entire social media marketing campaign from a single prompt, or design a professional quality logo in seconds. What this means is that the barrier to entry for high-skill gigs has essentially vanished. A student with a good idea and the right AI tools can now deliver work from their basement, bedroom, or dorm room that rivals what a small creative firm could do just a few years ago. Next, we have a trend piece from Wired magazine. The headline reads, "Hyper niche is the new buzzword in the creator economy." This article argues that the era of the generalist creator is fading. The real success stories today are coming from individuals who go incredibly deep on one specific topic. The piece highlights creators who focus only on things like restoring vintage fountain pens, or channels dedicated solely to the science of baking the perfect sourdough bread. By becoming the go-to expert in a hyper niche, these creators are building incredibly loyal and engaged communities that trust their every recommendation. It is a shift from trying to please everyone to serving a small, dedicated audience that you can truly own. And our final headline today comes from a major study by the Pew Research Center. It shows that it isn't just a trend, it's a fundamental change in career ambitions. The headline is, "Gen Z values skill stacking over a single career path." The report defines skill stacking as the conscious effort to acquire a portfolio of complementary skills, rather than focusing on a mastery of just one. Think of it less like climbing a ladder and more like building a toolkit. For example, a student might combine coding knowledge with graphic design and digital marketing. Separately, those skills are valuable, but stacked together, they enable that one person to build and launch an entire online business by themselves. The study suggests this is a direct response to economic uncertainty and a desire for more control and adaptability in one's career. So, from AI democratizing high-level skills to new strategies for finding an audience, and a complete rethinking of what a career even is, the working landscape is definitely shifting. And that ends our headline news for this episode.
Those headlines on AI, niche markets, and skill stacking perfectly set the stage. It's clear this isn't just a passing trend. It's a major shift in how people are thinking about work, and I'm excited to talk about it today with all of you. Also, I almost forgot, but we have our own producer, Highlight, on the show today as well. So Highlight, I'll start with you. As a member of this current youth generation, what does the term side hustle mean to you?
That's a great question, Mr. Jason. For me and probably many of my friends, a side hustle feels different from a regular job because you're completely in control. It's your project, your brand, your hours. It might be about making extra money for tuition, sure, but it's just as much about building a skill or a portfolio that you can't get in a classroom. It's learning by doing.
Your project, your brand, I think that's a key distinction. Josiah, what's your take on it?
I completely agree with Highlight. It's about ownership. To me, a part-time job is something you clock in and out of, you leave it at the door. But a side hustle is something you think about in the shower because you're genuinely invested in it. It's a piece of you that you're putting out into the world.
That's a great way to put it. Esther, how do you see it? What's the line between a passionate hobby and an actual side hustle?
For me, the line includes making money. A lot of us have hobbies we love, but the moment you decide to sell that piece of pottery or charge a small fee for editing a friend's video, it crosses the line into a hustle. That's the intentional step of turning a passion into a potential paycheck.
That's a sharp distinction, so thank you. Let me ask the group this. Does the amount of money matter? Is it still a hustle if it only makes enough to buy one coffee each week, or does it need to have the potential to grow into something bigger? Highlight, what do you think?
I think it's still a hustle. The act of creating value and having someone pay for it, even a small amount, is a huge mental shift. It validates your skill. Some of the biggest businesses started as tiny projects that just covered their own costs.
That's a great way to look at it. It's about the validation. Have you guys seen any real-world examples of that? A tiny start that proves the concept? Esther, what about you?
Absolutely. There was a feature on a show called Make It about a university student in Texas who started creating and selling digital planners on Etsy. She initially just designed one for her own use, but her friends liked it so much she decided to list it for a few dollars. According to the article, that single small step grew into a six-figure business. It all started with one template that solved her own problem.
That's a perfect example, so thank you. Solving your own problem first. Josiah, have you seen something similar?
A recent article in Wired talked about the growing economy of video game coaching. They highlighted a college student who was highly ranked in the game Apex Legends. He started informally helping his friends improve and then listed himself on a coaching site. He charged just $15 for a session, and now it's a significant income stream for him, all built on a hobby he loves.
All right, those examples are perfect. Thank you. These examples capture the modern definition of a side hustle: ownership, passion, and that first step into monetization, no matter the scale. It's fascinating because when I started my first side hustles in the 1990s and early 2000s, doing graphic design and building websites for customers, the term side hustle didn't exist. We just called it freelancing. And freelancing was mostly about earning extra money, upskilling, and building your professional reputation outside of the often stuffy and enclosed corporate environment. This brings us to the big question: why is this exploding now? Josiah, how much has technology made it easier just to get started?
It's a night and day difference. Now the tools of production are in everybody's pocket, available 24/7.
Absolutely. So what took me a week or more of designing and coding a simple 5-page website for a client back in 1998, can you believe it? Well, today a person with no designing and coding knowledge can launch an online e-commerce store on Shopify in 1 day or less. And if you don't want to pay for Shopify, you can have an AI tool now write all your code for you while you grab a cup of coffee. But it's not just about the creative tools, is it? What about the business tools like getting paid or marketing? Esther, what do you think about that?
That's maybe an even bigger problem. In the past, how would you have even been able to accept a payment from someone in another country? Now you have Stripe and PayPal, not to mention sometimes having the option to pay with crypto. How would you market your product? Now you can build an entire audience on TikTok or Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook for free. The entire infrastructure of commerce is now accessible to anyone.
Exactly. So the technology makes it possible. But let's talk about the pressure that makes it necessary. Highlight, you mentioned this before. From a student's view, how much of this do you think is driven by financial need?
I think it's a big factor. The costs for everything are rising. A traditional job isn't always flexible enough with classes or other obligations. So finding something you can do on your own time isn't just a bonus for many, it's a lifeline.
A lifeline, absolutely. Josiah, do you think there's also an element of wanting lifestyle money, not just to survive, but to afford experiences that seem out of reach?
For sure. I think social media plays a big role there. You see people traveling or going to concerts, and a side hustle can feel like a ticket to participating in that. It's a difference between just getting by and actually living the life you see online.
Ooh, that's a key insight. Thank you. And both are valid. I once worked as a barista on the side for almost a year. It had nothing to do with passion. It was just purely about having some extra cash and a little help with health insurance. Sometimes a hustle is just a hustle, and that's okay. So we have tech making it possible, finances making it necessary. Let's talk about the final piece, the mindset. Esther, the skill stacking idea is powerful. Is that trend also a rejection of the traditional career path? What do you think?
I think so. Our generation has seen how quickly industries get disrupted and change. Relying on one employer for 20, 30, or 40 years feels very risky. Having a portfolio of skills, being someone who can write, who can understand videos, and who also sells crafts makes you more adaptable. It's about future-proofing yourself.
Oh, that's a great point. It leads to a bigger idea then. Is the side hustle changing the very definition of success? Is the new dream a portfolio of interesting projects instead of a corner office? What do you think, Josiah, or Highlight?
I think for many, yes. Success is starting to look more like freedom and control over your own time rather than a specific job title. A successful side hustle, even a small one, is proof that you can create that for yourself.
I would add to Josiah that success is also about building a personal brand. Here's an analogy that might help. A traditional career path is like being a character in a story someone else wrote, but a portfolio of side hustles lets you be the author of your own story. I see it with some of my friends and even in my own side work that public-facing project becomes a huge part of our identity and how we start to measure our own success.
So future-proofing, freedom, upskilling, personal brand building, all powerful ideas. This is a complex mix of opportunity, necessity, and a whole new philosophy on work. We've looked at all of it, the what and the why. But the biggest question remains, how do you actually do it? That's what we'll be talking about after the break. We'll give you the practical first steps and count down a list of the top 10 most popular side hustles you can start today. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short PSA.
1, 2, 3, 4.
If the first half of our show has you feeling inspired, you might be asking yourself, okay, but where do I even start? Well, one of the best first steps is simply to learn a new skill, and you don't need to spend a fortune to do it. There are incredible free resources online that can teach you things that are directly valuable for a side hustle. For example, if you have a creative spark, check out the Canva Design School. They have dozens of free video tutorials on everything from creating a professional logo to designing engaging social media posts. If you're more business-minded, Google's Digital Garage offers free certified courses in fundamentals like digital marketing and data analytics. These are real resume-worthy skills that you can learn completely at your own pace, right from your laptop. So turn that inspiration into action and just take 30 minutes to explore a free course and add a new tool to your toolkit. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the show. Before the break, we really unpacked the what and the why of the side hustle generation. Now we're going to get practical and dive into the how. When I look at the landscape of opportunities today, I see three major overlapping worlds that have completely changed the game from when I started back in the 1990s. First, there's the classic gig economy. This is about task-based work, freelance writing, driving for a rideshare, or completing a project on a platform like Fiverr. Then there's the digital services market, which is where you sell your skills like graphic design or consulting to a global client base. And finally, there's the booming creator economy, which is built around creating content, building an audience, and then monetizing that attention. Esther, I want to start with you. Do you see these as separate paths, or are they starting to blur together for most people?
They're definitely blurring. Think about successful creators on YouTube. They operate in the creator economy by making videos, but they might also sell digital products like video editing presets, which are in the digital service markets. And they might take on a one-off sponsorship deal which functions like a project in the gig economy. It's not one or the other anymore. It's a stack.
Yeah, it's a stack. That brings up the most crucial point about starting. So many people get paralyzed trying to find the perfect, profitable idea right out of the gate. In my experience, that's the wrong approach. The most successful ventures, including some of my side hustle projects from the past, came from a simple place. I was just trying to solve a problem. Is it better to start by looking for a problem rather than a product? What do you think, Josiah?
I think if you start by trying to invent a product, you might build something nobody wants. But if you start with a problem your friends are having, like it's too hard to find good study notes for this class, or all the part-time jobs conflict with our lab schedule, the potential solutions, the potential side hustles become much clearer.
Exactly. And what about the skills needed to solve that problem? Highlight. How important is it for someone to do an honest inventory of what they're already good at before they jump into something new?
I think it's critical. So many students undervalue the skills they already have. Maybe you're the person everyone asks to proofread their essays. That's a potential editing service. Or maybe you're known for your amazing presentation slides. That's a design skill business will pay for. The easiest way to start is to monetize a skill you've already built, instead of trying to learn something from scratch.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So you find a problem, you audit your skills, but then you have to act. That formula, problem, skill, action, is timeless. With that framework in mind, let's get into some specific ideas. Our team did some research digging into recent 2025 reports from publications like Forbes, CNBC, and Wired to compile a list of the top 10 fastest growing side hustles for students right now. So Esther, why don't you kick us off with number 10?
At number 10, we have custom craft goods. Etsy's own market reports show that the demand for personalized and handmade items, from jewelry to art prints, remains one of the strongest categories in e-commerce.
Number 9 is a classic, but with a modern twist. Local task and delivery services. Gig economy data shows that the flexibility of using apps like TaskRabbit for errands or DoorDash for delivery still makes this a go-to for immediate, flexible income. And if you are here in Thailand, there are apps like Grab, Lalamove, and others.
Coming in at number 8 is one for our listeners, podcast production assistant. Media industry reports from places like Pod News show that with millions of podcasts out there, the need for remote help with audio editing, creating show notes, and managing social media is at an all-time high.
Okay, number 7 is a very new and interesting one. Esther, what do you have?
Number 7, we have UGC, User-Generated Content Creator. Marketing publications like Ad Age are all over this. Brands are now paying everyday people to create authentic TikTok-style videos for their ad campaigns because it feels more trustworthy than slick, polished commercial.
At number 6, we have niche tutoring and coaching. Data from freelance platforms like Upwork and Fiverr shows that beyond standard academic tutoring, there's a huge profitable market for coaching and specific skills, like getting better at a video game, learning music production, or even public speaking.
Number 5 is all about sustainability. It's e-commerce reselling. Features in the New York Times and other outlets have highlighted the massive boom in the second-hand market. Thrifting vintage clothes, sneakers, or furniture and flipping them on platforms like Depop is huge right now.
All right, we are halfway through at number 4, another one that's booming because of the creator economy, community management. Tech publications like Business Insider have pointed out that successful online brands and creators need people to manage their communities on platforms like Discord or on Facebook groups. Esther, back to you for number 3.
At number 3, we have a massive demand, which is in short-form video editing. Every marketing report out there confirms that businesses are desperate for freelance editors who can create engaging TikToks, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts.
Number 2 is a favorite for those who like passive income. It's digital template design. We've all seen success stories on CNBC Make It about students making incredible money selling pre-made templates for Notion, Canva, resumes, or social media.
And that brings us to number 1, the top trend, which publications from Forbes to Wired are calling a massive growth area for freelancers, is AI-assisted content services. This means using powerful new AI tools to help you offer services like copywriting, market research, or presentation design for clients. The AI helps you work faster and deliver a high-quality product. So many opportunities, but I have to add a dose of reality. From my own experience, I know it's not always a smooth ride. What are some of the biggest challenges we should warn students about? Things like time management, burnout, or even the dreaded topic of taxes.
Time management is the big one. It's so easy to let your side hustle bleed into study time or sleep time, and then both your grades and your health can suffer. It's a real balancing act.
And the always-on culture. When you're your own boss, your brain never really clocks out. It's hard to switch off, and that can lead to serious burnout if you're not intentional about setting boundaries and scheduling downtime.
And taxes is the boring part nobody wants to talk about. When you're a freelancer, no one is withholding taxes for you. You have to be disciplined enough to set aside a portion of everything you earn, or you'll get a very nasty surprise by the end of the year.
All incredibly important points. It's a marathon, not a sprint. To wrap this up, I want to ask everyone a final big picture question. Looking 5 years into the future, do you think having a portfolio of skills from side hustles will be the new expectation for graduates entering the workforce? Esther, let's start with you.
I think it's heading that way. It shows initiative, practical skills, and an ability to self-start, which is what employers want. It's like a real-time resume.
I agree. A degree proves that you can learn in a structured environment, but a successful side hustle proves you can do something in the real world. It's a project you can actually show, not just talk about.
I think it will almost be essential. It shows you're adaptable, you're curious, and you've built tangible skills outside the traditional curriculum. In a competitive job market, that's a huge advantage.
I think you're all right. What we've discussed today isn't a ladder to the top of a career. It's a portfolio. It's not about climbing. It's about building a collection of skills, experiences, and projects that make you uniquely valuable and resilient. And whether you're driven by financial necessity, a deep creative passion, or simply the desire to have more control over your future, what's clear from our conversation is that the tools and opportunities are more accessible than they have ever been. The final piece of advice I could offer is this: be curious, be brave enough to start small, and don't be afraid to be the author of your own story. Building that path for yourself might just be the most important project you ever take on. And that's a wrap on this episode. We've talked about what the side hustle generation is, why it's happening, and most importantly, how you can be a part of it. The key takeaways for me are simple. Start by solving a problem. Use the skills you already have, and don't be afraid to take that first small step. I want to give a big thank you to my co-hosts Josiah and Esther, and a special thanks to our producer Highlight for stepping out from behind the scenes and joining us on the mic. And of course, thank you to all of you for listening and sharing your time with us. If you found this conversation valuable, the best way you can support our show is by hitting that subscribe or follow button on whatever podcast app you're using right now. It's free and it means you'll never miss an episode. You can also continue the conversation with us on our social media channels like Instagram @Students Incorporated. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode. Until then, keep building. And as always, this podcast would not be possible without the hard work and support of our international student production team.
All music and sound effects are courtesy of Pixabay.com, a vibrant community of creatives sharing copyright-free images, videos, and music.
And we are signing off until next time. We are Students Incorporated, because your voice matters.